Hi, everyone. So it's come up quite a bit, and I've been asked actually in my personal life if people can be both a Christian and a Buddhist at the same time. And the answer is, of course, yes. Buddha is not a god. He said that very explicitly, and Christianity does not prevent people from getting a degree in mathematics or astronomy. Christianity simply says in the Bible, "Thou shalt not have other gods before me." Well, Buddha explicitly said that he was not a god. He's not a god. And I've known many people who use Buddhism to enhance their Christianity. In fact, they just use it to become better Christians. So, one reason that I emphasize in my videos that Buddhism is a religion is because some people malign Buddhism and claim Buddhism is actually about doing drugs. I've heard this. This is the number one misunderstanding about Buddhism. And the problem is that they treated Buddhism as a philosophy. They never studied it. They claimed to be Buddhist, while they spread all this misinformation. This harms the community, the Buddhist community, as well as the community outside of Buddhism, especially when they encourage drug use. Because if they had even briefly looked into what the Buddha actually taught, he was very explicit that he advised against intoxicants. So he actually advised against all intoxicants. So, if you're some of the strict Buddhists don't drink any wine or do any, intoxicants at all. Most Buddhists that I know, they'll have a glass of wine, but really, Buddha advised against, becoming intoxicated, and certainly not high. So it's one major reason why it's really important to understand that Buddhism is a religion, not a philosophy. Another reason that it matters that Buddhism is a religion is that Christians sometimes quote Buddhist teachings and claim them as their own. To me, that's not appropriate. If you're going to use Buddhist principles, that's wonderful, but just give credit to the source. I think being a Buddhist Christian or Buddhist Catholic is a beautiful thing. It could be its own denomination, like for example, a Catholic who uses Buddhist teachings of love and compassion to become a better Catholic. Um, or it could be a Buddhist Lutheran. And I say a Buddhist Catholic rather than Catholic Buddhist because the Buddhism becomes the adjective describing what type of Catholic you are. So yes, acknowledge the source. If you don't acknowledge the source of what you've learned, that's just theft and plagiarism and misinformation. It's misleading people. But if you do, then great. Use whatever helps you grow. And I've said before many times, I'm really confident that I know the Bible better than 99% of Christians out there. I do not believe that's an exaggeration at all. I'm one of the few people that has read it cover to cover many times. I don't recall any teaching in the Bible that says you cannot work on becoming a more loving person. I don't recall any teaching in the Bible that says you cannot have any interests outside of the Bible, that you can't read anything outside of the Bible. I don't recall any teaching that forbids people to learn how to have a more compassionate heart. And that's what a lot of Buddhist teachings really are about. It's, like you can have Christian teachings that you say you should, but Buddhism is about teaching how, right? How do you actually, work with the anger or the jealousy, or how do you do it? I mean, we know what we should do, but how, right? So Buddhism is a religion, it's a set of beliefs, but it's not the worship of any god. But people say, well, Buddhists are bowing, right? So we do bow to the Buddha, to the good nature within all people, okay? So that's what you're doing. You're bowing to the good nature within all people. And that's, and when we bow to statues, we're acknowledging that this good nature is to be respected in all people. Means that we're acknowledging that everyone has a good and wise heart, regardless of how they appear on the outside or how they're behaving. So when we bow to someone or we're bowing to their good nature. We're bowing to the statue. We're bowing to the inherent kindness and wisdom that's in all people. We're not worshiping anything. In fact, this confusion is where Nichiren Buddhism that denomination came from. That there was this misunderstanding. People saw statues and assumed Buddhists were bowing to gods. Nichiren wanted to clarify that we're not bowing to any external deity, and that's why in Nichiren Buddhism, traditionally there are no statues. People actually do get rid of the statues to avoid that very confusion. Personally, I don't mind the statues. I kind of dabble in, I'm primarily SGI nature in Buddhism, but I dabble. I take whatever teachings work for me, right? I take those teachings to become a better person, a more loving person. I use whatever works, right? Um, but I understand why some people prefer, to remove the statues or to remove all external. You have to do what works for you. Whatever helps you become a better person, helps you be, a better person in society, helps you become somebody that's a good influence in society, makes the world a better place. You got to do that. So if somebody were to come to me and they say, I want to be a Buddhist Christian, this is what I would say. First, make this clear determination that you're going to stick with Christianity as your primary religion, and make sure that you have made that determination that there are good reasons to stay rooted in your own tradition because it's your support system. Okay. It's your family, it's your community. You don't want to be ostracized. So stick with Christianity. But go to, even go to church like every week. Say, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna use these teachings, but I'm gonna make sure I go to church every Sunday. Do that, okay? Decide that you're going to use the Buddhist teachings simply to become a better Christian. And if I were guiding someone again, um, I would say, do not just determine that you're not going to use any Buddhist rituals. Keep your primary practice of going to church every Sunday, participate in those small groups, stay rooted in your community, and then just add something really simple. Okay, my favorite Buddhist teacher is Pema Chodron. Well, that I would say is very open. There's also Daisaku Ikeda, but just to make it really easy, a way to incorporate it into your system is Pema Chodron is Pemachhodron. She's got a lot of books on Audible. Just get a couple of books. You listen to it in your car on your way to work. You can say, hey, I'm going to listen to Pema Chodron for half an hour on my way to work, and then apply what you learn to your Christian life. And that's how you become a Buddhist Christian. And you can determine for yourself that you're not going to go any further. You're simply incorporating these helpful teachings. And again, if you do quote her, just acknowledge the source, right? Don't plagiarize. Personally, I'm just solely a Buddhist, but I know, there's a lot of people that have been both Christian and Buddhist, and they've done that for decades. Okay, it's not a threat. One well-known example is Tina Turner. She was both Buddhist and Baptist for many decades. So if you look up her video about chanting, Buddhist chanting, you'll see how she combined Christianity and Buddhism in her own way. And there's also a book called The Baptist Preacher's Buddhist Teacher, about a Baptist preacher who used Buddhist teachings to help his congregation and strengthen his own Christian faith. So there's no reason that you can't. People have done it. We know that it's worked very well for people. You have to find out really what works for you, and why wouldn't you want to use every tool that's available to become a better Christian? Religions have changed and adapted over time, for hundreds of thousands of years. Well, not hundreds of thousands of years anyway. And that's why we have so many different denominations. So why not this? Many people already do it. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I do get attacked by Christians quite a bit, verbally, a lot, family, friends, coworkers, not friends, family, colleagues, coworkers, online. And I don't understand why the Buddhist community is seen as such a threat to Christianity. Maybe some Buddhist practice would help you to become more calm and kind, instead of attacking people. Because you can practice multiple religions, and see what works for you. And if someone fears that people will leave Christianity because they learned to be more loving and compassionate through Buddhism, maybe that fear comes from insecurity about their own religion. Okay, if you believe Christianity is so fragile and, incomplete, that learning compassion from another tradition would destroy somebody's faith, then that's something that you should examine within your own heart. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Thanks.